You know, one thing that I hear a lot, especially when we start talking about traveling to Africa, is where people encounter relatives, friends, acquaintances that have something negative to say about them traveling to Africa. And one of the things I want to encourage you to do is when that comes up, one, you knowing why you're considering the travel, but then also your response. I mean, really, you don't have to answer to anyone. That's the first thing. But a lot of people feel compelled to justify it. I've heard many times people say they just went and didn't say anything to the family members because they just know how the family members are, and they went on a trip, and then when they got back, say, "Oh yeah, I went to Africa." But it just goes to speak to how misinformed so many people are. And I mean, I've been there, so I get it. You know, many of us get it who took most of our lives to visit Africa the first time. We've been to every European destination: Europe, Asia, Australia, Canada, Mexico, South America, the Caribbean. But for some reason, Africa was just kind of like, I get there when I get there. And it's really just mindset. And I think a lot of people are beginning to wake up to it, and to how they've been thinking, and they want to improve themselves because they don't want to be hypocritical in their approach to things. And they just recognize that there have been other factors in play. The toxic education system in much of America, in much of the Western world, and even in parts of Africa, has influenced how we see Africa. And we're recognizing that a lot of what we've been taught has been wrong, especially when you come here and you see everyone from Europe here enjoying and living their lives, and you see folks from Asia here living their lives. But for whatever reason, when it comes to the African diaspora, there has been this successful, intentional effort to keep us away, one, economically, because you got to remember, with the inception of America, in all of the different countries that colonized that part of the world, the goal was for the people not to come back because they took the people in the first place in order to build wealth. You have to, when you understand the original intent, then you understand how the mind had to be played upon to have disdain, distrust, dislike towards one's place of origin. And then when you begin to get into people, into their psyche about themselves, you cause them to hate themselves. And that's when, and I just thought about this the other day, that they're like other ethnic groups, you're not going to find other ethnic groups going out and intentionally wearing and changing and altering themselves as a mass culture. Now, you're going to have outlier situations where they might do this, but as a mass culture, you're not going to find them wanting to have African features. Meaning, now of course, you might get somebody who's trying to get a butt implant or breast implant or fake locks or whatever. You get those outlier situations, but what we see in our culture, what we grew up with, is culture where those who were taken from Africa and other places, that particular white supremacy culture, European supremacy culture, impose itself, its hairstyles, its hair textures, its wanting to bleach skin. Lighter skin is better, whiter skin is better, smaller features are better, and people were mocked for their African features to the point where people mock themselves, and to the point where people alter themselves, not just in the Americas and in places like that, but also in Africa, where you have this skin bleaching happening, and you have this just hatred towards one's own natural features. And there's a market out there where the Koreans have gotten into it and dominated. And so I'm just saying all of this to say that there's so many layers to this resistance that we have. And then you couple that with pride, meaning that once you show somebody something different, who wants to realize that they've been believing something wrong their entire life and been taught wrong their entire life? So sometimes people say, well, I'd just rather be wrong than to admit that I'm wrong. I'd rather believe I'm right and be wrong than admit that I'm wrong and then be right and get on the right path. So it's a lonely journey a lot of times. Sometimes you have to take this journey by yourself. Sometimes you have to, and you got to develop a thick skin. you develop a thick skin, and once you get that thick skin, you just say, hey, it is what it is. And I mean, people might, I don't know if people get to the point of people not liking you, not talking to you. I don't know. Simple people out here in the world, I don't know. But you get to that point in the journey, and you don't worry about it. And so you do your due diligence on your trip. You go and do what you need to do and enjoy yourself. And sometimes you have to leave people on the plantation. That's what I tell people. I say, hey, this is my journey, this is my life. So if I have to go do what I need to do, that's what I need to do. And everybody doesn't, well, one, everybody won't go with you. And everybody doesn't go at the same time. And then when people say, well, you know, Africa's not for everybody. Well, America's not for everybody, and nor is Europe, Australia, Asia, or wherever else is not for everybody. So each person has to really find what works for them. I wouldn't waste any time getting into any arguments with the family about it. I wouldn't, say, hey, okay, cool, that's what you want to do. C'est la vie, that's just the way it goes. Right. Anyway, you just gotta do what you gotta do. Enjoy yourself, live your life. And stop thinking about it so much. Just go enjoy it. I'm having a great time. The time of my life. 16 African countries, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, Bermuda. Time of my life. And if I listen to the peanut gallery, I'll still be held up on that American plantation, sitting there talking about one day I'm gonna get there on my bucket list. Hopefully I'll get there one day. And I'm not talking about because of the financial situation. I'm talking about because I'd be listening to other people and listening to all that stuff, and they getting their information from who knows where. Some little news report that come across social media or whatever. Or they hear one thing happen in one part of Africa, and now they blanket the whole continent of 1.678 billion people. And now that one incident is representing the entire continent that happened in one village in one place, and that just paints the whole continent. But they can't see all the foolishness jumping off in America, all the chronic foolishness that happens in America. Same scenario, same shooting, same. They can't see that somehow, but it's still safer here, still safer. And so what can you do with that? What can you do with that? Leave them jokers on the plantation and go live your life. You got one life on this side. Enjoy it. All right, until next time, take care, be safe. Maximum Impact with Jay Cameron. Be sure to subscribe.
Open up your eyes and see all the fun and mystery. Take an African adventure with Darren and Destiny. From the mountains to the shore, so many things to explore. Take an African adventure with Darren and Destiny.
The Adventures of Darren and Destiny. And Darren and Destiny are twin brother and sister, and you go on their adventures throughout the African diaspora, meaning so African diaspora destinations, primarily focused in Africa, but we go to South America, we're going to go to the Caribbean. Their first book is going to take you to Ghana, and then we're going to go on a safari, and from there we're going to go to Ethiopia, and then we go to Salvador, Brazil. And what the goal is to be able to inspire curiosity in the continent of Africa, in our children from a very young age, and to really tell a more accurate story. Most of our children are exposed to negative images, late night infomercials about how bad things are, everybody's sick, everybody's poor, everyone's uneducated, but that's simply not true. So what Darren and Destiny and their family do is they go to different African destinations. They are learning about these different places. You're beginning to see positive images, but still telling the truth. I mean, that's the important thing, to tell the truth about some of the things that have occurred. But it's all done on a children's level so they begin to understand it. And it begins to pique their curiosity. They begin to learn more. And hopefully one day they will want to explore and visit the continent of Africa and its many countries. There's just so much that Darren and Destiny are able to do, and as they're doing it, it's like they begin to open the minds of a new generation, and they don't get bombarded and indoctrinated with negativity. They're actually able to see positivity and inspiring images and messages about the African diaspora as well as those who are still indigenous to the continent of Africa, and they begin to learn more and just see things differently. So I'm excited about introducing the adventures of Darren and Destiny.